Hey Google, what's the date?
It's Wednesday, October 11th, 2023.
And I'm Jeremy Wright. Welcome to another Tank Talks. How you guys doing? There's some stuff that has happened recently around here. Today, first off, I'm just starting tank maintenance, getting an early jump start on the weekend. So you can see here we are only with results for tank A, which is this one for today, and tank D, which is this one over here. So I'm going to start by talking about this little 20 gallon. You guys may have recently seen this in a slightly different form, and I'm actually going to pull up a chair and tell you about this one. So sorry for the fakey back out zoom away thing. I'm now planted. So let's get started. Tank D. This is a 20 gallon restored tank, so it's got a wood. It actually has a wooden rim. This is a handmade wooden rim, stained black. It is a rainwater tank. So this is a natural tank that was started from organic compost underneath my greenhouse. This was the mulch that has been the bed of my greenhouse for 3 years, and it was pulled out, and the bottom of it was not all of it. I uncovered some of the mulch and scooped some of the compost that's been forming there to start this tank. And I'm going to say this is a 2-month-old tank, just at a guess. Feel free to look back through my videos to confirm. But previously you would have seen it as a 20-gallon tank with a red betta in it. So WTF question mark? What's going on here? There's no red betta in here anymore. Let me tell you about that. First off, last weekend we had my local group had a swap meet in Austin, Arkansas, Central Arkansas, not too far from Little Rock here. And I'm just trying to get comfy again, kicking back. So I gathered many floating plants, fish, etc. for that swap, said such event, and put them in some tubs. Actually, I'm gonna show you those. So there's some. These are I use Sterilite tubs for my aquatic stuff. So that's leftovers from last weekend. This is also leftovers from last weekend, sort of. Not really, sort of. But what I mean by that, I did get some plants from the swap. Thank you, Twan. But I did get some fish from the swap also. But I moved a lot of things around. I removed 2 convict cichlids that were in this tank. They came over here as a safe spot. They needed a safe place to hang out. They were being harassed in tank B, which is a 29-gallon convict cichlid tank. Those guys, they just rearranged everything, killed 2 lotus plants that have been living in there for years. But anyway, it's another story, another tank talk. There were 2 convicts who moved over here out of the 6 adults that grew up together as, buddies and whatever. Not from necessarily one brood, but they're related all the same. Anyway, they're breeding, so whatever. 2 of them came over here. They were so terrorized. They were really meek, and were nice to the red betta who was living in here. And as I said, this was a kind of a natural tank that was started. It's very soft water. So let's get a look down at those results again. Tank D at 77 degrees in Fahrenheit. TDS is only 74 ppm. That's low. So we can call that soft water. Also, pH is a little higher than I want it to be. See how both of those read 7.98? I don't believe that. I just noticed that. I don't believe it. They're higher than I think they should be. I'm questioning my pH meter, so I'm going to do another pH test on both of those tanks. I don't believe them. They're not that they couldn't be creeping up. I have added 2 rocks to this tank over the last couple of weeks because there are black knight rams in there. They may have contributed to some increased pH, but not likely. I would think that if anything, they're more likely to make the pH go down given the type of rock that I thought they were, but whatever. There's also a problem in this tank. 0 nitrate. So because the water's soft, there were a ton of plants in here. I recently removed all of the floaters that I could basically harvest and then move along to other homes. I didn't get rid of everything, but thank you to several of my friends for helping. Actually, thanks to a lot of my friends for just participating in Central Arkansas aquatic stuff and the Arkansas Planet Aquarium Club. Major thanks, guys. Thanks to everybody who's watching this channel. Love you guys. You make it a lot more fun for me to do this. But back on this stuff. This tank changed a lot. 2 convicts came out. The reason for that, they had nearly killed my red betta. So the convicts came out. They actually went to the swap, but they came back with me. They were in a bin under a bunch of plants. They did not find another home. And there was actually a convict breeder there too. So they came home. They just live in a tub now. You saw that earlier. And so this tank, unheated, 77 degrees. The tank next to it, similarly, unheated, 77 degrees. We're going to have to change that pretty soon. It's mid-October. It's going to cool off a little bit, and I'm not going to run the heat that high inside. So I'll probably put some heaters in here. But for most of the year, I don't heat tanks. I might be able to get away without it. But I don't want the temp to drop down to like 72, 73. I want it higher. It's a little cool for my liking right now at 77. All the same, really soft water. And no more floaters. Oh, that's actually a Hygger lamp that showed up today too. So thanks, Hygger. Appreciate you guys. You're awesome. And you make kind of the go-to lamp for me for planted tanks. More on that later. In here, there's pearl weed growing very interesting. See these very, very lance-like, needle-like leaf structures, leaf formations. I need to get a positive ID on this, which I didn't yet, but that 90-degree leaf growth, probably pearl weed, but no rounded bits, so need to confirm that. There's Mirio red back here, and we're going to talk about what the fuzzies are in just a moment. The fuzzies are in quite a few places. This is, what's that, water wisteria, Hygrophila deformis. Gets its name from the change of leaf structure that it gets. See these newest grown leaves? That's the leaf form for Hygro deformis underwater. We call it water wisteria. It's a very common plant in our hobby. But look at these leaves below this. That's what they look like when they're grown immersed, emerging out of the water, or grown in soil or something. Now, granted, they still like lots of water. Hygrophila, water-loving plant. So next to it, there's a Java fern coming from Buddha's head. There are little hygro plants that I've snapped off and trimmed. There's an orange keely. That was from my buddy Twan. That's why I was giving him a shout. And a black knight ram saying, hey, this is my little spot. Get back. These black knights just moved over to this tank after the convicts left. Now, the reason the black knights are in here is something we're going to slide over to tank A next door. Boom. Okay. A little bit different lighting, a little bit different stuff going on. Sorry, there's a hang-on back on the face of this tank. Its home has not been set up yet. That belongs on another tank. Sorry. Deal with it. I have to deal with it too. It's just unsightly. So this is tank A. It's a 55-gallon Central American tank. It has ancestress catfish. It has, which are not Central American, but it's got one female, and I don't even remember why she's over here. But she egg thief. So actually, guppies are egg thieves too. So let's be real. That's a bunch of guppies, and I couldn't breed black knight rams in here with guppies and an ancestress catfish that comes over and hoovers them up when everybody goes to sleep. So the black knight rams that were hanging out in here, tank A, 55-gallon, roughly Central American thing. Yes, that's a pothos plant. That's not a Central American thing either. Look at the rest of the stuff. It's mostly Central American. Except maybe the lava rock and maybe the sponge filter. But this is my one of my guppy colonies. This guy's, see the little orange dude? He was one of last year's best of show winners and best of guppy breeding here. And I got some blue ribbons for his ancestors. This tank left for a year while I was doing remodel, part of a year. It came back to me, and we're now kind of redeveloping that ecosystem and the colony of gups. But in the mix, I ended up with 4 black knight rams. And I was like, well, they're cool. They're good community fish. I'll put them over here. Then they started breeding, and their eggs disappeared. So they now live over here with a couple of killifish and a snail or two. We'll see how it goes. So I said I was going to mention something over here. What that is this was a natural tank, started literally from rainwater, water from my outdoor tubs, like just outside, hanging out there, and some of my aquatic stuff. You can't really see it right now. Oh yeah, I removed it for the aquatic swap. Sorry, thought I was going to show you a bunch of tubs. Anyway, there were a bunch of plants growing out there. So water came inside. There has not been tap water directly poured into here. Now there's water that came out of the tap that might have gone into another vessel for quite some time and then came back in here. But for the most part, this is rainwater, and I think it did get some top offs with untreated tap water that had set out for some period of time. And some of it was even in other tanks before it came in here. But I was trying to get the biodiversity. This is a fresh tank. It's not long term. So that means it's still going through phases. One of the phases it has recently entered was the diatom bloom. Took a little bit because it has a lot of plants in here. It's really soft. There's not a lot of nutrient. There's no added fertilizer going in here, none at all, just fish food. So this is like the aquaponic fertilization method. You feed the fish, you give it a healthy environment, the stuff grows. The nutrients come from the fish, now from the fish food. But looking in here, I can assure you there are not enough fish in this tank to sustain that amount of plant biomass. So give me a little bit. I'm going to try to breed some black knight rams in here. That's why there's some flat rocks down at the bottom. If they need something else, cool, maybe I'll figure it out. The Keeleys, I don't really know what they're new. They're new to me, new here. I don't even know what species they are, or if they're the same species. I'll have to ask my buddy Twan. So yeah, anybody who's in Central Arkansas and you're interested in getting some cool fish, Twan Hicks, hit him up. I've known him for quite a while. He's a good guy. So we're doing the black knight ram thing over here. I mentioned there was a diatom bloom. When that happens, you usually see that stuff on the face of the glass. So let's look at the glass that I didn't clean. See how there's some spottinesses all along there? Yeah, that's diatoms. That's where I did not scrape it. There was actually a snail right there, and maybe like right there when I was going through razoring the glass. On the back, that's diatoms. Some people call it brown algae, but it's diatoms and other stuff that can colonize such an area. And it just is what it is. This tank is unfiltered. It has a filter on there just because it's like, I thought I was going to use it, but turns out I didn't have enough parts. Like, not enough parts. That doesn't hang down long enough. So, boom. Pixel 7 says device getting hot. So I'm going to have to cut it there, load this, and I'll give you some more chats on Tank A in just a bit. But cutting for now. Catch you guys later.